Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, Pimp Sun Kiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast. Maybe. Just to give my thoughts and opinions and things of that nature on a particular post that I keep seeing floating around. And I just been letting it float around and seeing everybody else's thoughts on it and all that. And so I think now is about the time I chime in my own manner. So as you can see, this is the post. Black people will team up and buy liquor and tables at the club, but won't team up to build a business. Now, on the surface, much like I've seen a lot of people do, it's very easy to latch on to this and be like, amen, preach, talk your shit, yeah? Howsoever, and my humble thoughts and opinions, and also wisdom and certain education and experiences that I have had, this statement is very layered and also unfair. What I notice is a lot of black people honestly only allow themselves to be around black spaces. And it's understandable because of, the history of bigotries and laws and systems that facilitate such bigotry. Okay? And therefore, black people like to be around other black people. A lot of black people do. Like to be around other black people, like to be in more predominantly black spaces because it feels safer. Okay? That's what it feels like. It feels safer. Specifically in comparison to other possibilities, right? Therefore, if you limit your environments and your experiences, then your perspective of certain things will also be limited. So, again, that being said, that type of limitation on one's experiences and environments will make you more vulnerable to just latching on to this statement and running with it. Okay? Saying all of that to say, we're about to get into a comment that I left on the last share that I saw of this post. To which I said, I also slick hate. And honestly, it's really not slick. I just feel like hate is a strong word. So I just wanted to put a little fluff around it. I like to be careful about how I use the word. Anywho, I said, I also slick hate that so many black people claim negativity to only black people. Like, white girl wasted, quote unquote, isn't a thing for a reason. Also, like, black men are the only men who are deadbeat fathers. Like, only black women dance seductively, fight, wear wigs, and revealing clothing and long acrylic nails. Like, only black people get government assistance. Okay? A lot of white people aren't teaming up for businesses either. I actually see more black people and people of color team up for such, in my little quotations, my parentheses there, okay? They, as in some white people, are inheriting, my bad. They are inheriting, quote unquote, daddy's money and, quote unquote, the family business. Many of which comes by way of colonization and a history of hate crimes. Speaking of which, all in the same breath, now I didn't put black people specifically there, but I'm going to insert it right here as I'm saying it. All in the same breath, black people are often shaming black people and black children who boom out successful businesses, generational wealth, and access that they also pass down to their kids. Beyonce and Blue Ivy, anyone? The Smith kids, anyone? I mean, I could go on, but I'm just going, name a top two right there because there's a consistency of black nepotism shaming. So as I said in my comment, to leave it off on that comment, so baby, make it make sense. And I'm gonna elaborate a little further too on what I mean by black people claiming negativity to black people only. There's a habit of that. There is a form of, I'm gonna say, quote unquote, witchcraft, a form of dark affirmation that racist white people who were abusing the ancestors of us, the black people, okay, abusing, okay, in every which way you could possibly think of. They use this dark affirmation of stereotypes and propaganda over our black ancestors, and much of it has lived on to today in quite a few black people, where, and I feel like it plays a large part in a lot of the black community being like kind of stuck in the past and stuck in stages of arrested development. But let me get to the point. Quite a few black people are still stuck in the past, to where no matter how many black people, black families, the liking, the working, 50 shades of black, 100 shades, 10,000 shades of black in certain ways, no matter how many black people find success, team up and build businesses, make a living for themselves, create generational wealth, graduate from college, the works. It seems as though no matter how many black people grind it out, I don't really like that term, but grind and make it, and make something not only for themselves, but for generations, for the community and all of that. No matter how many black people succeed, there are still so many black people that will say black people ain't did shit. Still minimizing black people to fried chicken and watermelon, to shucking and jiving, doing some little whacked out buffoonery as dance. There are still quite a few black people that predominantly associate blackness with the ghetto, blackness with degeneracy, gang banging, waving guns, killing people, unsavory gambling, drug dealing, hooking, hoeing, stripper shit, all of that, as if every race does not have their corruption, their drug dealers, their strippers, their whores, their escorts. They're people who team up and get bottles and sections at the club and get white girl wasted. As if every race does not have their people. And not to mention, let me just cut that right there and flip it, okay? As if there aren't people who have businesses of every race, people who have degrees, jobs, flourishing careers, generational wealth, and all of that, of damn near every race, that still team up and get bottles and sections at the club and go in and let have. Like, do y'all think rich white people don't team up and party? You think all of them just like tea and crumpets and wine dinners? No. And it reminds me of this study that I seen. I forgot the specifics of what it was surrounding, but it was surrounding like the psychology of money. That's what it was. The psychology of money, finances, spending it, and all of that. And one thing that stood out to me was how they did an experiment on people, and they got this basic bottle of wine. They bought two bottles, and they told okay, let me specify. They bought two bottles of the same basic wine, the exact same flavor, the exact same brand, the exact same size, all that. And they brought people in and they blindfolded them and everything and had them taste both of the wines. But they told them that one bottle of wine was really, really expensive, top of the line, bougie shit. And that the other bottle of wine was just like $10 or something like that. But these are the same two exact identical bottles, okay? And so they have them taste it with it in their mind that one is more expensive than the other. And a lot of them, when they asked them after the fact of them tasting it, which one they thought tastes the best, a lot of them said the quote unquote more expensive bottle tasted the best. And when they removed their blindfolds and showed them that both of the bottles were exactly identical, they were flabbergasted. So what did we learn, class? That a lot of people's thoughts and opinions, even when you're in the experience of something, okay, your experience is limited as their experience was limited by a blindfold and having to rely on what they heard. But then they tasted something and their mindset sabotaged their senses. Because they have it in their mind that what's expensive means that it's better. That because it costs more, it's better. And baby, I can't tell you how many times I've been in stores or online or whatever, what have you, and I see something extremely overpriced. And not only is it ugly, but the material of it is cheaper feeling, okay? Quote unquote. The material of it is lacking in quality. The maintenance of it lacking in quality. And seeing stuff at Walmart that ain't even that much at all and it's much better quality. But we as a society have been fed and had it drilled in our minds so much, conditioned so hard, that just because something is more expensive, that is better. A fool. And what do people tend to associate with more expensive shit? Whiteness. Because that's what we as a society have been conditioned to do, to associate whiteness with better. And many of us are breaking out of that chain, but it's quite a few that are still in those shackles, honey. Because I know so many black people that have and are teaming up like a biatch to form businesses, to form communities and organizations, restaurants, dance schools, theaters, theater companies, film companies, schools. People, black people doing herbalist and nutrition work, coming up with different businesses and ideas to help feed impoverished people and teach them how to feed themselves affordably,
putting together
and
shelters and different organizations to help the youth, to help the homeless.
If you ain't know,
learn how to teach people to learn how to
show
eat.
down here called
I know plenty of black people out here
a lot of
doing
people
nutritionist work and
the Fair
teaming up with each other and targeting
some made up storyline that they
impoverished
using
families,
to give the show
impoverished
purpose
neighborhoods
or whatever.
and communities,
But it's
trying
not.
to teach them how to
It's not.
give themselves
And honestly,
nutrition
versus
that
you know
feeds
what
into
they
what
may
I'm
feel
saying
like they
about
lack access
this
to.
post
And the conditioning that feeds into people latching on and running with statements like this. Because a lot of the time when black people come up with any quote unquote progressive idea, honestly, it's a lot of other black people shooting it down and throwing dirt on it, throwing salt on it, and throwing doubt on it. Like, you ain't doing that, you're just lying. I don't know what you're doing that for. You can't do that. You can't do that. And then if they do it, oh, you trying to be white. Oh, you acting bougie. See, that's why them kids spoiled now. They need a beating. Like, the hell. But yeah, the Fair Street Project is a real thing, and there are multiple different groups of people, but also multiple different groups of black people in particular, trying to bring businesses and rebuild culture and life on Fair Street, which is a historical black street. In the past, it was what you would think of when you hear Beale Street and or Bourbon Street. In a way, it had its own thing, you know, its own style and own essence, but the same, you know, parallel. What you know, Tennessee, Memphis to have Beale Street, Louisiana, New Orleans to have Bourbon Street, Mississippi had Fair Street. And there's a lot of black history in just that particular street and that whole entire area, honestly. But that particular street has so much history, and it's been dilapidated for a while off the backs of racism and history of hate crimes. So that's something that you have to also think about too. Racism doesn't totally make things impossible for black people. So you don't want to like imprison yourself to that. However, it can cause things to take longer and have more hurdles to get around and jump around. Okay, so that's something that has to also be considered, which is also why I said this statement is unfair, because there's been a lot of progress in racism and black people's rights and all of that good stuff. But when it comes to finances and dealings with the government, not so much. Not so much. Okay? Like, like, it's so many things. I don't even know where to start, but concerning the history of racism and finances that have made it totally outrageously difficult for black people to get bank accounts, for black people to get checkbooks, to use checks, to spend their money, to store their money, to save their money, to have money at all. So many barriers that have been put in place for so long that make it hard for black people to buy homes, to sell homes, to buy businesses, okay, to get business, to brand their shit, to get loans, to get investors. So tons of things that must be considered when you're dealing with topics and statements like this. And that takes me back to the identification element. A lot of black people will see other black businesses or will literally scroll right past hella black people promoting their businesses and such online like it's nothing, just totally disregarded. And it's like, it's because they can't see it, because they can't identify with it, because in their minds and their conditioning and the brainwashing, that's not what black people do. And or that's not what black people do. So if they're doing it, I can't trust it. And I know some of y'all may feel like, it's a lot of black businesses that are rude and disrespectful to their own people. And that's definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. But that ain't what we talking about today. Your feelings are valid. That's just a whole nother discussion. We're going to acknowledge it, but we're not going to get too deep into it. The point I wanted to make is that just because you haven't seen it, and or just because you won't allow yourself to see it, does not mean that it doesn't exist. And please, 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 my black brothers and sisters, let's please, as a collective, do our due diligence to self-check and make sure that we are self-aware as to whether or not, when and if we are stuck in a habit, a muscle memory, a brainwashing, a conditioning to only identify with negativity. And if we are only associating blackness with negativity, i.e., if such and such is black enough because they not from the hood, or because they light skinned, or because they dress a certain way and they pronounce all they eras on their words and stuff like that. They talk quote unquote proper. So they not black enough. So stop. Cut that out. Cut that out. Cut that out. Because not only are you doing yourself a disservice, you also do your community a disservice as well. The community that you claim that you want to help and be proactive and uplifting. Let's uplift the optimism. Let's stop shaming and or totally disregarding the positivities that black people have and are creating. Let's give more gratitude and energy to the optimism of it all, the black optimism of it all. Let's support these businesses. If you can't spend no money at the business, baby, share they posts. Get some of their business cards and hand them out. Tell folks about them. Okay? Okay? And stop thinking that rich people, okay, whether they white, black, Asian, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever, what have you, stop thinking that rich people don't also team up and buy liquor and tables at the club. Please stop it, okay? Stop it. Just like, stop thinking rich people don't eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, okay? Stop thinking rich people don't drink cheap wine. Stop it. Okay? Stop thinking that rich people won't shop at a thrift store. Won't get some clothes from Walmart. Don't go to the dollar store. Don't send somebody to get their stuff from the dollar store. Okay. Stop it. And with all that being said, y'all, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I'm thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.